Let's go.
Free money! Free
Hey, how to sing blue wing. Shine glass in your hand.
From the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Mothership here in beautiful Louisville, Texas. It is Texas Football Today, a show that's doing this on purpose, I guess. I don't really know. My name is Greg Tepper. I'm the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football magazine, TexasFootball.com, a corresponding website. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. Whether you're watching us live at TexasFootball.com or on Facebook, or you're listening to us on the podcast, which you can subscribe to on the podcast vendor of your choice. Either way, thank you for doing your part to support your local, mediocre internet show. I'm sitting over there at the helm today. The Duchess of the Dorks. It's Ashley Pickle.
What an exciting intro for me.
We
Thank
made you watch a movie.
Yeah.
That is. What year were you born in?
97.
It is
6 years older than I am.
You. Yes. So we made you watch that.
Yeah.
I apologize. Actually, I don't have to apologize.
Made was a very good term, and I'm sure we'll get more into that.
And joining us on today's very special episode of Texas Football Today.
Oh, here it goes. Ready?
We're joined by a familiar face.
Oh, me.
Everyone's favorite member of the Texas Football Today crew. It's Ishmael Johnson.
Hello.
Hello, Ish. A familiar face. And making his debut
Yay.
Thank you.
on Texas Football Today, we've talked about him. This is Adam Hochfelder. This is our boss.
You can put a face to the name now.
Ironically, you invite me the week I'm doing everyone's job review. I
Yeah.
think that's and bonuses and raises and
But the sad part about that is that could go over very well for us or very bad
That's
after
true.
the show.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to let him go first on all of the topics on this, and then I'm just going to say, oh, no,
You're
great
right.
point, Adam.
That's just a brilliant point.
That's a
Talk
really good
more.
point.
Please talk more.
Today is Friday, February 28th, 2020. 272 days until Thanksgiving, episode 913. Matt Harrison's wins above replacement in his illustrious Texas Rangers career. Okay, so today is our second Dave Campbell's Texas Football Movie of the Month. You jackals voted on this. We put up 4 movies on Twitter, including, I would say, 2 good ones. 2 movies I wouldn't have minded watching, and instead you ghouls made us watch the 1991 classic, Necessary Roughness.
Which I don't know if y'all saw Steph's tweet. He tweeted and said this was a big favorite of his back in the day. So
I'm just going to read, before I kick it over to our host, Ashley Pickle, and our director of this.
Read the synopsis.
I'm going to read the synopsis on IMDb. Necessary Roughness, 1991. 1 hour, 48 minutes. Due to NCAA sanctions, the Texas State University Fightin' Armadillos must form a football team with their actual student body, with no scholarships to help, to play their football schedule. That's the synopsis. We now kick it over to Ashley Pickle.
all right, so let's start off with our first topic of the day. We're going to go here as soon as I can get it pulled up with our overall thoughts on the movie. So Tepper, we will start with you first.
Okay. Now, I'd never seen this movie.
Really?
I'd never seen this movie.
I'd never have
Wow.
Me neither.
I'd heard about this, and I basically heard that it was the Kathy Ireland football movie, is what I had heard.
Great way to summarize it.
It's the Kathy Ireland football movie. So whenever I watch these films for the football movie of the month,
Yeah.
I keep a running list of notes on my computer.
It's a long. I can see it. It's a long.
I
list.
did. I've got a lot.
Oh, no.
I've got a lot. I don't know if I've seen a movie get worse as the movie went on as much as this movie did. I actually like the premise.
Yeah, sure.
I
And the timing of it with SMU is right after.
That's true. Yeah.
Right.
that's
This is
after the
91,
Right.
and so like they're still kind of in the wake of the
Right.
death penalty.
Right.
I actually like the premise. And then there are parts of it, obviously, it takes, if you don't know, it's shot in Denton at North Texas. It's at Fouts Field. There's a lot of shots of Denton around town and the campus. There are parts of it that I liked, but at least 3 times in my notes I wrote, I want to die. This movie was a chore, and it got worse as it rolled on. I kept waiting for, like, the next act. Oh, the next act is going to pick back up. The next act. Each act was worse than the one that came before it. I did not like this movie. I will never watch this movie again. And maybe it's just compared to our first football movie of the month, which was Friday Night Lights, which is a really solid movie.
We started off way too hot.
Really solid movie.
And we messed up.
Boy, this came crashing down to earth. I'll let Ish go.
All right, so I will. I never saw this movie either.
Oh my!
I'd heard it referenced, obviously, when somebody mentions Texas State. It's like, oh, haha, the fighting armadillos, right?
I guess that's right.
And so I'm like, sure, whatever. Like, I never understood the joke. I'll say that it was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. It was not as big of a train wreck as I thought. This is very much in the same vein of, like, not as good of a movie, but in the same vein of a Major League, right? I can definitely see the semblance of where, like, the replacements came later on, based off of this movie. The first time I kind of, because I didn't even know what this movie was about. All I know was Texas State, Sinbad, and Kathy Ireland, all this stuff. And when they first started showing, like, the sanctions of what Texas State's hammered with, I was like, oh, they're not playing football ever again.
Yeah.
The first thing in my mind was like, they're not letting anybody touch anything ever again at that university. There's no scholarship limit. There's just not playing football.
No, yeah, you guys need to tear down the stadium.
Yeah.
Right,
You know?
steroid injections.
Oh my
Right.
God!
On camera. On camera. Yeah, the guy's a
I
positive
love
in the
that they
vein.
showed it.
Yeah,
Like, they
right.
literally
Oh
showed it.
man, he's got
Yeah.
the syringe.
When I saw that, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be a ride. This is
Yeah.
gonna be some weird, crazy movie." And, like, yes, very cheesy, very, very cheesy. I don't think I'll watch it again, but I'll put it this way: if I was somebody who grew up with this movie, I would probably love it, and I'd probably because I'm trying to think of the football movies that were around then. I want to say, like, this is before Varsity Blues.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
before Varsity Blues, the only other football movie is probably Rudy. Like, I'm trying to think of, like, football movies where it's like you're actually watching them play football and it's about a football team. And
I'm gonna open up the pile-on that's gonna happen the entire show.
You
But
go.
North Dallas 40 from the 70s.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is also Texas, and also the football scenes are horrible.
Right.
But it was made, I think, 79. This was 10 or 15, whatever years
So
later.
but it's
That's
not-
when
not
I grew
many.
up with.
But it's not
North Dallas 40.
Yeah, but the point is not many.
Yeah,
Right. Not many to
correct.
choose
There
from.
was a
So-
10-year gap plus. So
Right.
you're I
So
got you.
I could see people being like, football movie. Oh, all these actors, Scott Bakula, Robert
You know
Williams,
what?
and all this stuff.
You
So-
hit the freaking nail on the head that I didn't even consider.
Yeah.
You said Major League.
Yeah.
This is 2 years
Yeah.
after Major
It's
League.
the same movie.
I
College
did
football.
I didn't even connect it.
Yeah.
I think because Major League has aged a lot
Yeah.
better.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like,
Oh,
Major
yeah.
League is still, like, holds up today.
Yeah.
And look, I'm a baseball guy, so I freely recognize that. But this is the college football version of Major League, except worse in every way.
1,000% chance in a pitch to make this movie, they said this is the Major League of college
That's
football.
exactly
You
right.
know that
Yeah.
happened
Oh,
in
yeah.
some
Pitch, yeah.
backlot of Hollywood.
Right. So I mean,
Man,
I guess
even down to, like, some of the plot points. Oh my gosh, it's just now clicking.
Right.
Wow.
I guess you can pass it off to Adam now, or do you want to wait till last? Because Adam's kind of the expert on this one. You want
Yeah.
Ashley to go first?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Ashley,
actually,
Okay.
I want to hear your
I'll go
opinion.
first.
As a North Texas man, too.
Yeah, so same thing with Ish. I had literally zero clue what this movie was going into it, and I think that's where my, like, negative side of this movie came from, was the fact that I feel like if I would have known coming from the start that it's meant to be a cheesy, funny, like, you don't go into Family Guy thinking, like, okay, this is going to be serious. You go into it knowing, oh, it's going to be bad humor, and that's what I'm looking for. So I feel like if I would have realized that sooner, maybe would have made it a little bit better. But the differing perspective that I think that I have on y'all is I didn't have to necessarily focus on the movie as much as it was really cool for me going to North Texas to see all of that stuff. And, like, I noticed so many different things, like their classroom that was actually held in the admin building, and, like, the dean's office is the actual president's office that, like, Neil Sumatra still has. So, like, I was watching it with a roommate who also went to North Texas, and he actually got to watch games at Fouts Field. I never did because Apogee opened in 2011 and I wasn't in college yet, but that was the fun part for me, is we basically spent our time going, oh, hey, that's that. Oh, hey, that's that. So it was still enjoyable for me to sit there and watch it. The movie itself was
Was what?
you know, it was all right.
Wow. Okay, that's
not my
as
overall
high
thoughts.
praise as anybody's going to give this movie. Is all right.
It was all right.
All right,
It
now,
had some good humor
now,
in it.
Adam, when I told you that we wanted you to be
Yes.
the expert on this movie, we wanted you to be the guest on the football movie of the month, and I told you what we were watching. You were excited.
Yeah, all right. All full disclosure, I was in college when this movie came out. I went to see it at Highlandville, or what's that, Highland Mall in Austin? It's no longer there.
Oh, yeah.
Highland Mall. Yeah.
1991, I was a senior, I guess it was, and so it was pretty exciting. It was around the death penalty. It is a terrible movie. I'm not. But 21-year-old Adam thought it was just like Step said, although he wasn't 21 when it came out.
Yeah.
It was fun when I first saw it, and then I'm that guy that can watch 10 minutes of any movie I've seen, so I do watch it when it's on cable for 5 or 10 or 15 minutes. I rewatched the whole thing last night. It was bad to start, hasn't aged well, but I have some nostalgia for it because of the time. So
Right.
I'll throw a little defense up for what they had to work with. Ish, you said it right. They figured they'll make a major league spinoff in college football. It was what it was. It's terrible. The football is terrible.
Well,
Everything about it is terrible.
I'm looking at the poster right now. The poster is very major league.
Right. Oh,
Like
God,
that's
it
like
is.
it's the little football
Yeah.
with the
I
horns.
didn't even
Yeah.
think about
and
that.
like sunglasses.
And I could see
like,
the Indian baseball coming.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
yeah.
Like, it's very much like go see this.
Man, that's exactly how they pitched.
That's what it is. And there were so many points in the movie where I was like, wait, why is this happening?
Right.
Like, what? And then but the answer was because movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, the
right.
answer
Yeah.
was because we need a movie.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
it had, like, we have to have this plot point here and there. Like, for example, we'll get into scenes we liked the most and didn't like the most, etc. But, like, they have a bar fight. Blah, because
And Billy Bob's, of
And
course.
in Billy
yeah.
Bob's.
Yeah.
That's a real
Yeah.
Billy
Yeah.
Bob's.
Yeah, Billy. Yeah, that was,
And they
that was
drove
really
from.
nice.
If you think about it, they drove from Denton. Well, I guess did they ever establish this in Denton, Texas?
I don't think so.
Okay,
It
they
just
were-
said
yeah,
Texas.
Texas,
just
right.
Texas.
Right, which,
Yeah,
by
no,
the way,
it's-
the flagship university, the Texas Colts, which I'm sure we'll get into,
Yes.
is-
Right.
must be located near Billy Bob's as well. So these
Right,
two
yeah,
schools.
Also,
is this SMU TCU?
Yeah,
that they're
exactly.
close?
I've never been to Billy Bob's, but I do know that the giant steer that they had
Yeah.
out front of Billy Bob's was the one from the steakhouse in Amarillo that has the
Oh, the big
72-ounce
Texan? The big
steak.
Texan.
Yeah,
So that
my
was-
roommate noticed
So
that
that
one.
was actually Billy Bob's.
Yeah,
that
they
was,
shot
that
Was
was
it?
the-
Okay.
Yeah.
Billy Bob's has that rodeo arena and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Like that was, I remember like coming. Oh yeah, that's great. But there was that. Like Kathy Ireland serves no purpose in this movie.
No, it serves a purpose. Trust me, it serves a purpose.
Let me
And let me
rephrase.
explain why I went to the movie in 1991, without a doubt.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
and I get it, but like from a plot perspective,
No.
Oh no, she's
No.
yeah, no, she's,
she has one moment.
Yes.
Yeah, it was.
But it's
it
a
was
great
literally-
moment. Let me be honest. I hope
we
I
need,
can say
we
that
need a
on
hot
the
woman in this
show.
football movie.
Yeah.
This is
Oh,
what
yeah.
we're rolling with.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, it was just cliche after cliche after cliche. This was the most late 80s movie I think I've ever seen.
Oh my gosh, that is a great way to put it.
Just like so many things like, oh yeah, it's like everyone is such a stereotype of a character,
Oh,
okay? I don't know.
How about the Texas cliches that keep firing in? He
Oh.
says something like, it's ode to Texas where you could have open container and gun rack. Or I mean, they have all of these things. Billy Bob's is a
Billy,
cliche.
the fact that they picked Billy
Right,
Bob's of all the
right.
bars, it was like,
Yeah.
no, we're just gonna
Okay.
pick them all.
Well,
at
when
the
they
rodeo
said they were
and
Yeah,
going to
right.
the bar, I was going, oh, please tell me they're going to go to Fry Street. Please tell me they're going to end up in a bar in Fry Street and I'm going to
Right.
recognize it. And then they go, we're going to Billy Bob's. And I was
Bob's.
like,
okay.
okay,
A
that's fair.
perfect example of the downward trajectory of this movie.
Yeah.
Perfect example is that about 40 minutes into an hour and 40-minute long movie, we are introduced to Rob Schneider, and I go, oh,
You didn't know he was
crap.
in
No,
So-
I had no idea.
The funny part is, if this exists, I can't believe these words are leaving my mouth. That was at the pinnacle of his career because he was on Saturday Night Live and he was doing some
Yeah,
bits
yeah.
in the movie from when he was big, I guess. in
Before he
Saturday
hitched
Night
his
Live.
wagon to Sandler, I guess.
Yeah. Well, his claim to fame is his best friend, right?
Right,
Or
right.
one of his best friends.
Yeah.
It's so bad that they threw him in as the comic relief along with Sinbad, who was never funny in anything,
Right.
as the two comedic
And
bits.
And that's the thing. Like, I'll disagree a little bit. I think Sinbad's been in good movies and funny in movies.
He's the first
He's
kid.
not funny in this movie.
No, he's terrible.
Like, he's not even
He's
doing
terrible.
Sinbad things.
No,
like,
no, terrible.
he's just playing a guy. And
No,
I'm like,
and
why do you
he
get Sinbad to play
has-
a regular guy?
Right.
Like,
And even worse, they are trying very hard to shoehorn in a catchphrase. It's like
Oh,
it's time to
Party.
party.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
Shut
what
it down.
are we doing?
It's like they had a big stew and threw all these things from a
Oh.
movie and just
Yeah.
stirred them up. Sure, these things will work somehow in the formula.
Oh.
Right?
Right.
I'm wondering if like the director of The Replacement saw this movie. He's like, all right, take that out of there.
Right,
take that out of
right.
there,
We're
do
gonna
this
pick and choose
instead,
here.
Here we go. Like,
It
okay, here's something
was.
that could work. But
It
All right.
was so much, and almost none of it was
the one
good.
thing that bugged me that I thought was going to be a bigger point was when Robert Loggia goes to Scott Bakula's ranch or whatever.
Right.
I thought it was going to be. I thought that one of the crux of the movies was going to be convincing him to play.
Yeah, he
Nope.
was like,
Shows
up,
he's
right.
like,
One
yep,
conversation,
Yeah.
like I'm in.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Yep.
And oh, by the
School.
way, he just applies his in,
Oh,
has
yeah.
his paperwork.
No,
He
no,
hands his
no.
paperwork to the dean,
Right.
who is sitting at
He-
practice.
yeah.
Like, here you go. I'm
Yeah.
gonna go practice now.
Now.
Yeah, right.
All right, here we go. Moving on to our next topic. We've got your favorite scene.
This one was easy for me.
The-
Oh,
okay,
really?
easy for Ish. We'll start off with Ish on this one.
This
then.
is going to be a spoiler to my MVP. It's Coach Wally's pep talk at halftime of when he takes over.
Yeah.
When he takes over,
That's
like
what I wrote.
Robert Loggia is. I think again. I think he's the best part of this movie. I'll talk more about him specifically, but that pep talk when he's clearly overmatched as a head coach, he walks in. I have the quote written down. Where is it somewhere? Let's analyze what's been working for us. Not a goddamn thing.
Rips his shirt
He
off,
rips
rips
his
his
shirt
tie.
off, he rips his
Yeah.
tie off, and he's just
Yeah.
so mad about everything. It's also clear that he does not know how to read an offense or read it. He's
Right.
like,
Oh,
he's like
man,
trying to
yeah.
like describe like, this thing's killing us. And he's like the crossing route or something, whatever the player's saying. And he's the defensive coordinator. He has no idea what he's talking
Right.
about. Like that part was great. That was probably the hardest I laughed was when he tried to do the inspirational speech, and he's just like, nope, just kidding.
So, I think, and again, keeping with my premise, which is that this movie gets worse every second it exists.
Yeah.
Opening credits is your favorite? As it goes down.
I thought the very beginning,
Yeah.
as ridiculous as it was,
Ugh.
you've got Ed Gennaro, the coach, who is on SportsCenter
Right.
with Chris Berman.
Edge straight arrow.
Yeah,
Straight
the straight
arrow.
arrow. He threw 5. I actually thought that was a really good way to set up the movie. I like that whole thing when Fred Thompson comes in and tries to explain to him, hey, we want you to coach, and then he like they say, oh, there's no. Fred Thompson says like, well, I don't want to deal with boosters anymore or anything like that, and Fred Thompson's like, oh, we don't have boosters anymore. Okay, but then like they have like he goes and he recruits Robert Loggia and stuff like that. I actually thought the opening few minutes of the movie, after you got past the part of Scott Bakula throwing a football to his
Scarecrow.
after you got that,
Which was like 17 minutes
That was a
long.
really long.
I was like, why are we still on this scene?
I mean that was the spring training like montage. Is what it was.
Right.
But that was actually I actually like that, and I everything between I don't know Hector Elizondo
Yeah,
that who
right.
played the Gennaro, between him and Robert Loggia, anytime they were interacting, I really liked it. I thought they did. I thought
They're,
that was
they're
really
actual real actors, unlike
Yeah.
everybody else. That was,
fun. Ooh, we'll
Yeah.
get to the acting.
Yeah,
maybe.
right. Well, I actually put. I'll fall on the sword. Any scene with Kathy Ireland was my favorite. I'll be honest. I could say I was 21 when it came out. She was at her pinnacle. But for real scenes, other than that, I actually agree with you on the Robert Loggia.
Oh,
That's my all-time favorite.
just chewing
And the
the scenery
funniest
every day.
part
It's great.
is it kind of emulates another movie from my youth, which was North Dallas 40. There's a locker room scene that's somewhat similar to that. And the funniest part of it is when he really just fires off F-bomb,
Yeah.
and he goes, okay, let's pray.
Yeah.
You
Yep,
know?
yep.
And he literally says, I want to rip their blimping heads off
Yeah.
and bleep down
S
their
down
neck,
the neck.
and let's pray.
Let's
and
pray.
that's similar to a scene from probably ripped off from a North Dallas 40. But it's great. Other than that, Kathy Ireland, and then a little more Kathy.
Yeah.
Ireland. She should have coached. She should have been the quarterback.
It
would have been
that's the thing is because I don't know how this movie was advertised, but I know how this movie was advertised,
Oh,
which
absolutely.
is come see Kathy
That's
Ireland,
100%
and also I guess Scott Bakula's in
right.
it.
Yeah.
100% that way. So now, Scott Bakula was at the top of his game too because he was on that show Quantum Leap. So he was kind of a name then, but nothing like.
What
Nothing like her.
I never saw Quantum Leap. Did he wear mom jeans in that too?
Okay, I'm going to defend the denim jacket when we get to that. The denim jacket was awesome.
I literally wrote down
Oh, man. on.
Scott Bakula is old, throwing in his field to a stationary target with no pressure in mom jeans.
Okay, I'm not talking about the bottoms. I'm talking about the top. Denim jacket. We'll get to later. Fantastic.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Ashley, what was your favorite scene?
This is the one that I have the most opinions on this because there are 3 different scenes that I like the most, and it's not because they were good scenes. It's because I probably like the point that I laughed the most. So the first one is at one point in time, the play-by-play guy is sitting there, and he goes like he's like, oh my gosh, they finally caught it, blah blah, and then something happens, and he tries to say something like fairly positive about the team on the mic, and then he just covers it up, and he goes, shoot.
Yeah.
Right.
And as an MC for 4 years, I related to that scene. So,
Wow.
don't
Cover
get
the
me
mic.
wrong.
Yeah.
There were very, very good times, especially in the back half of my MCing career in North Texas. But there were a couple times that first year where it's like you get really invested, in the team, and you're just like you cover up the mic, and then that's when you just lose it. So I really enjoyed that one. I loved the scene, the whole hospital scene where Coach Wally is going in and he's like acting like he's dying,
Oh,
and then when he comes back and he tells the team, he goes, "Well, he had a slight heart attack." And his final words were, "If you don't win this football game, I will die."
Yeah.
So that one
Right.
was fantastic. And then the last one is when they were going up to kick the field goal in the rain with the girl kicker. They huddle. It's silent for about, I'm not kidding, like 15 seconds. And then he just goes, "Field goal on the snap, break." Like, that is iconic. That was, those 3, I died. Like, I laughed out loud.
The huddle on the
Right.
field goal
Right.
Well, and then I was
the first time I wrote down I want to die.
Yeah, and I was expecting like hey, really, you got this.
You got
Okay,
it.
let's
Right,
do
right,
it.
right.
And he goes, "Field goal on the snap, break." And I was like, they just did that. Like, that actually just happened.
More on the hospital scene. I loved when he first walks up to him. He's like, "Hey, it's Wally Grigg," and he like takes off the hat. It's Coach Wally. He's like, "I know who you are." I'm
Yeah.
not
And then he
Coach
goes, "By the way, I charged these to your room.
To
I'm
your
running a
room.
little
Little
short
short.
this week."
Again, whenever the coaches
Yeah.
were talking, I thought the movie was
They're
at
real
its,
actors.
was at its best.
they're
Yeah.
the
Like they were
actual-
very clearly
They're
the
the
2 best
professionals.
actors in this movie.
Yep, for sure.
And I thought they had really good chemistry.
Yeah.
Like
Loja was nominated for an Academy Award at one point.
Yeah, he was.
I thought you were going to say for
No,
this movie.
no, not the movie. No.
Shut
No.
it down.
No.
Was it for
No,
Big?
Jagged Edge.
Jagged
I looked that up.
Okay.
And that was,
Robert
which is a great
Loggia.
movie. Robert, great name
Robert
too. by the way.
Loggia. I always think of the Family Guy sketch.
Yeah,
too.
It is that was once he showed up, I was like, all right, this is gonna be okay. And then
He got me through the movie.
Yeah,
Pretty
was
much.
good. He was good.
Yeah, okay. I think you're right. If you're going from like a what made you laugh most, like
Yeah, and I mean
the
that's
field goal.
you got to remember, like I said, that's part of the point of this movie is to be bad comedy. So
Right,
it was
right.
like those were if you're looking at it from that perspective,
I
then those were
completely forgot.
easily the best scenes
Yeah.
in the movie.
I completely forgot about the
Although
field
let
goal
me
huddle.
just
That was
throw
great.
let me throw one other thing in there,
Uh-huh.
is that Robert Loggia is stunned by the fact that he will be the coach, even though there are only 2 coaches on the coaching
Right.
staff, and one of them is laid up in a
Laid down.
hospital.
Hey, I did look for that because I saw the same thing, and every now and then in the background you'll see somebody with a headset on with a
But
Texas State.
you
But they
don't
never
talk-
say a word.
Yeah.
They're never involved in the huddle. They don't consult with
Did you-
anybody else on the staff.
Did you notice the coach with the blonde coach with the mullet and the super tight shorts? He looked the same every single
Right.
time. He just
Yeah, right.
he never said a word.
Oh, I did not even notice that. No, because they never did anything.
No, they
I thought
did
that
nothing.
the only 3 members of the
Yeah,
coaching
they
staff
did nothing.
were Robert Loggia, Hector Elizondo, and then the backup quarterback who's
Pocky,
signaling and all the
which is a
plays.
great name, by
He
the way.
said, "Call it
Pocky.
in,
Yeah.
Rocky."
Pocky.
Yeah, hey, Pocky, send it in.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
All right, what's next?
All right, up next we will transition from our favorite scene over to our least
Ooh.
favorite
All
scene,
right,
which I'm
ISO.
sure is
Call
a,
the ISO.
Oh,
Call the ISO. Get
okay,
out
here
of
we go. We
Call
got-
for the ball. Call for the ball.
we've got single camera on.
I'm calling for the ball. The whole last game is such a disaster in every way.
Right.
In a football way,
Right.
in an acting way, in a filmmaking way. Okay, so Robert Loggia takes over as the coach.
Yep.
And Scott Bakula gets sacked, and then he yells afterwards, "Hey, that's a sack! Watch out!" After he's been sacked, then they refuse to block him. Okay,
Right.
nobody's blocking him. They fake the punt, and I could tell it was a fake punt because it was a one-handed deep snap.
Yeah.
There's all that, and so then it's like the last move. The reason that last game stunk so much is because it was so clear. It's like, all right, here's where we're closing all the loops.
Right.
It's like we're going to run Featherstone, the guy who's really
Yeah,
fast
right.
but can't catch on a fade. And, of course, he's going to catch it, right? And then, by the way, later on the final drive, he catches an 82-yard pass. It's like, oh, there's a nice catch from
Who
Featherstone.
can't be tackled, by the way. So fast, he gets tackled from behind.
He gets called from
Yeah,
behind.
He's a track star.
Yeah, he was like a 400,
Right.
one stand
Okay.
to 400
All
or
right.
something like that.
There are 4 seconds left.
Yeah.
Okay? They need a timeout to tie or win. They have 3 timeouts and decide not to take. They're going
Right.
home with
Right.
all
Right.
3 timeouts in their
But
pocket.
it was fun.
Robert
Jason
Lewis-
Bateman had the funny line.
Yeah.
How many timeouts we have? 3. Can we take them all now? That was
Yeah,
fun.
that was a good line.
I chuckled.
They do the final play of regulation, whatever. Yeah. And then there's ever even a thought of playing for a tie. You are 0-8-1.
Right.
Okay? You are playing the number 1 team in the state. In the state.
Yeah,
Number
they
1
said
team
that.
in Texas.
They said that number 1 team in Texas.
And
too.
then it
Weird.
was the
Yeah.
Kansas Jayhawks.
And yet they played Kansas.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know what's
No,
going
no,
on
that was
there.
the Colts. They were playing the Texas Colts.
No, but they played Kansas on the schedule before.
Oh, right.
Oh,
Referring
okay,
to
okay.
Texas is the number
Right.
1 team in the state.
And then,
right.
and then
Yeah,
of
it made
course,
no
it's
sense.
a fake, and he throws it to Charlie Banks from Mighty Ducks, apparently. And of course, he's wearing 88, just like the dummy in the field, because reincorporation. And then Jason Bateman and Sinbad dance for some reason. I want to die. And then the last frame of the movie. The last frame of the movie is the terrifying armadillo
Yes,
mascot
scares kids.
Putting
Think
it-
about
pulling
that.
out his fake gun and putting it to the head of the dean.
Oh, that's great.
What?
Hilarious.
Oh my gosh! That whole I got dumber watching the
Don't you
final
love how
act
they
of that
freeze
movie.
it on that too? Like
then
that's
yeah,
such an
like-
old
and then
look.
it just
Yeah.
transitions to the credits.
It's like
all
a
right.
1980s sitcom.
Like
they used
he's
to, or
he's
they would do
already
stuff
been
like
jacked
that.
up on the sideline, right?
Yeah.
He's already been fired by Fred Thompson, and
right.
now he has to get a fake gun put to
Yeah,
his head
right.
by an
By
armadillo.
Armadillo.
That whole last game. I know it's not one scene, but it is one scene. Oh my gosh, guys! What a
funny.
disaster!
Hard to argue. Hard to argue.
My least favorite scene. I liked it, but it served no purpose. It is the scene where they scrimmage the state penitentiary.
Oh my
That
god.
was funny. I did like that
It
one.
was basically a reason to
Get more people in
I
there.
was about to say,
Yeah, yeah.
let's get Jim Kelly,
Yeah.
let's get Jerry Rice,
Yeah.
Evander Holyfield's in it
Right,
for
right.
2
You
for
love the
some reason.
non-football guy,
Dick
right?
Butkus was in
Dick
it.
Butkus.
Ben
the
Hendrickson from
later
the
on,
Raiders.
the later on portion of that though, where they showed them.
in the stands.
Yeah.
Which, by the
Why
way,
are they in the
why
stands?
are the jail people
Yeah,
in
right.
the stands?
No,
Like,
that's
why
Work
are
release,
the
work
inmates?
release.
But the cool thing is they were quieting down the other crowd.
Yeah.
But
Right.
when they were there, I was like, my roommate goes, "Oh, well, they let the prisoners out."
But they let them out all
Are they
wearing their
incarcerated?
fatigues. They're still wearing their fatigues, mind you.
Yeah,
They're out of prison,
no.
but yeah.
I think Ed Too Tall Jones is one of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Brady White.
I like seeing all of them, but I'm like,
Me
wait.
too.
And then they just beat the crap out of the
Yeah.
team, and then they leave.
For
I was
one
like,
play.
where-
For one
But you-
play. They ran one play in
and
the
then
scrimmage.
The scrimmage was done.
But you did miss if you didn't have it, the Evander Holyfield, I think I swallowed a finger
Yeah, yeah.
line.
Yeah.
Which was
Yeah.
great.
That was good.
That was a good
on
line.
the
I did
bus.
like it.
But I liked the scene, and then after I was like, wait, is that it? When
Yeah,
everything
it's
back on
pretty
the
dumb.
bus, I was like,
I mean,
wait,
but it's such a bad movie that it's perfect for
it's
this
so
movie.
it's one of those random bad scenes
Right.
where you're just like,
Terrible.
it's because we got all these guys to sign off on being
Right.
in the movie.
Yeah.
We need them all in one scene.
Right,
So,
right.
but
And
that
it's
was
like,
my least
hey.
favorite. I'm just like, what? Like, get those guys back for more.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, then the one goes, "And what are you actually in for?" And he goes, "Computer fraud."
computer fraud.
Yeah, it was like Dick Butkus or something like that said it. And it was like, oh, okay, that was.
It served no
Oh,
purpose.
it served
I liked
no
it.
purpose.
But
I
that was
liked
my
it,
least
yeah.
favorite in terms
I
of like.
wonder how they figured
narrative.
who would speak because Dorsett is in it, Randy White. They say nothing.
Yeah, Jerry Rice.
Jerry
didn't say
Rice
anything.
didn't say anything,
Yeah.
but
Evander
Butkus had
Holyfield-
line.
Butkus does.
Well, I guess that's the height of
Yeah.
Holyfield. Because he's
Yeah,
like,
Holyfield
he's
says
a-
something
yeah,
too.
he's
yeah.
big-
Holyfield's the one who
peak
swallowed a
Hol-
finger.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, I
Oh,
want to say
his
it's like
height.
peak,
Yeah,
his
yeah.
peak career
Right.
at that point. So
It was so bad, but the movie's so bad. I disagree because I enjoyed it. But
Yeah.
I guess you're right from a movie perspective.
I was
it's
just like,
horrible.
what is that? But you know, I had fun trying to figure out who everybody was.
Right,
so.
right.
It was. Oh my gosh, that whole thing, and then like, why is the dean kind of trying to get his students murdered?
Yeah, right.
Like I don't know. Okay.
I have to say, I like the theme that you had, Greg. It's one big mosh pit of anything with Rob Schneider's a tie.
Oh,
He's
God.
so bad. I know that's a hint for
He's
later.
really bad.
and it's part of why I don't like the football in it. The PA guy doing the play-by-play is terrible. His jokes are bad. They're like tie-ins to a Saturday Night Live bit.
Yeah.
He's not funny ever.
No.
Ever. He does have the one funny thing with he calls Manu Manu the Slender, which is kind of funny. His little nickname. But everything else is terrible. It's cringeworthy how bad it is.
Yeah.
And you nailed it. Like an all-time terrible sports movie thing
Oh, so
is
The
the
announcer.
PA
Yeah,
guy
yeah.
doing play-by-play.
it's
And we get it. You can't just have like clips of nothing.
Right.
Like so, there has to be something.
Well, Friday Night Lights
Right.
does the radio guy, which
Right.
is perfect,
Exactly.
and that
Or-
makes sense, and it just fits better.
Or they have like it's Friday Night Lights does both, where they have the radio guy talking, or they have like people in the scene.
Yeah, right,
Or it's
right,
like it's like the
right.
coach on the sidelines. What's he doing?
yeah,
I
right.
do love that
Like
he was the only person in the press
Right.
box the
Brooke Solo.
like entire.
Solo.
There's
Yeah.
one clip of the back of people's heads for like 2 seconds,
Yeah.
and then other than that, he's the only person. Like I did
D1.
appreciate that. Like if
Yeah.
he's
The
gonna,
number one team in Texas is playing,
Yeah.
and he's
Yeah.
the only
So does that mean
press
he's
member.
like running cable up there before
Yeah.
he was doing all the work.
But even go back to the movie this is very clearly ripping off, which is Major League. They have Bob Uecker there,
Right.
Yeah.
and Bob Uecker is amazing.
Yes, he's fun.
But he's not like you can cut to the booth,
Right.
and he doesn't have
for
to be.
quips and
Yes.
things, right?
That's fun. Like
It's-
that's the way to
so
do it.
He's terrible. It's my all of them are tied for worst to me.
Or just like the ham-fisted, like we have to put a love story in here too.
Yeah,
It is.
with Scott
It's
Bakula,
cheesy
it
too.
means
It's
nothing.
real
The
cheesy.
Scott
And she was a
Bakula-
cheerleader, and she
And
was
she's
from the opposing
big team,
team.
yeah.
And, like, it was,
When
it
he
was
threw
cheesy.
for like 400 yards and 5 touchdowns in a game, which I admit in 1991 is impressive.
yeah, right,
Right.
right.
But now it's like,
So you would have been playing for who in '91? That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Who threw the ball in '91?
boy, like almost like
Was
you'd
that
have to
Sonny
go back.
Detmer? Or?
I mean, yeah, it might have been. Yeah,
Yeah.
it might have been like,
Golly.
yeah, you'd have to go like far-flung areas
Right.
of the state for that because
Right.
it was certainly not like the spread.
No.
They were still running like I formation
Sure.
throw.
Yeah,
you know.
who's running running shoes?
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Right.
all right. So for mine, it will be one. The bar scene, we kind of talked about that a little bit, but when he pours the drink on his shirt, I was like,
And he kind of pours it like in a weird way. Why would you have to pour it on his head, or
I don't know,
pours it
and
like in
it's-
his front pocket?
yeah,
It made no
it's like,
sense.
and of course, the guy that did it looks like a typical lineman, like
Right.
he
Yeah.
has that face
That-
on the
that
whole time. You know,
jaw.
that one, but then I'll also agree that the portion, and I know it's got your girl in it, but when they're walking off the field after that game where they finally tie and like they get into it with the dean and stuff, like they needed to either make that more dramatic where she's like, yeah, I'm in love with him, blah blah blah, or they needed to just cut that scene. Like it was too, it didn't
Yeah.
serve. It needed to be one extreme or the other. It was
Yeah.
too midline, and then it was like, I did like the dean afterwards going, well, that was easy. Like that was a good part of the scene. But yeah, they needed to like, if they were, since that was like one of the only like love portion things in it, if they were gonna bring a love story into it, they
Right.
needed to like really hound out that moment, and I felt like they didn't.
Yeah, you
really
gotta do.
do
You
that.
either gotta go for
For it
it
or
don't.
yeah, or don't. Then there's no point in having the love story mix
Right.
in there.
Yeah.
All right, up next we will talk about our character MVP, your favorite character. Tepper, do you want to?
I'm gonna be talking out of both sides of my mouth here because
Okay.
this is very clearly a cheesy movie,
Mhm.
and almost all of the characters are cheesy. But there is one man who takes the cake in this movie, and I loved it. Let's talk about Larry Miller.
Okay, let's
great.
go.
Yeah.
Larry Miller's the
Yeah.
dean.
Yeah.
Larry Miller is. If you've never seen this movie, you've seen this actor in 7,000
Right.
different things,
Yeah.
and he always plays the same character, which is
Mhm.
kind of like the smarmy villain.
Right.
Okay. He is turned all the way up to 1,000 in this, and I love it. Everything he was in, every scene, he is absolutely chewing the scenery.
Mhm.
It is spectacular. Like again, his character motivation makes no sense.
All right.
Like he is actively rooting against
Right.
what could be a profitable venture for the school he ostensibly works
While
for.
trying to seduce a professor.
Right.
Yeah.
right.
While trying to
Yeah.
seduce a professor. His motivation makes no sense. But Larry Miller is such gold all the time.
Yeah.
As soon as he showed up, I'm like, yes. All right, here to save this thing is Larry Miller. I thought he was, and he's, it's weird because like he doesn't really do anything that villainous.
No.
Like-
Like I was waiting for him to like. I was waiting for him to get somebody suspended or something.
Yes.
Like
Yeah,
somebody,
another
like,
part with the love story. He could have reported them.
Right.
For,
Like,
Yeah.
I was waiting for him to like really do something where it's like, oh, Scott Bakula is expelled, or like he's threatening to fire someone or get someone fired off the staff or something. But none of that really happens. But he's just kind of still
He just
weaseling
kind of
his way trying to find
lurks.
something. Yeah.
It kind of lurks around things. But I thought Larry Miller was spectacular in this movie, and I loved
Very,
everything. with
very
him.
low bar. Very low
Very
bar.
low bar.
Right.
But he is by far. He was every time he showed up on screen. I'm like, all right, I'm back in.
I loved
Something's
when
gonna happen.
when they were on the football field and he brought back the exams that he regraded and he goes, "Look, I graded them tough but fair."
Yeah, Larry Miller is an American treasure.
How about his line where he's getting on the field and the guy sends the university president back up?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Stuff it, Smokey," or something like
Yeah.
that. You just made a career decision,
Yes.
Smokey.
It was.
It was great.
Mwah.
Funny.
I really liked it. All right. What's?
I mean, you know me. It was Robert Loggia.
Yeah.
It was Coach Wally. I mean, like you mentioned, chewing scenery. Like he is the irascible coach. Like he plays the perfect defensive coordinator too. Of course, he's the defensive coordinator. One of my other favorite lines of his was when he looks at the crowd for the first time. He's like, "Not much of a crowd," and Coach Gennaro was like, "Oh, it's always good to have a home field. At least we have a home field advantage." And Coach Wally says, "Well, we had a home field advantage at the Alamo." Like,
Yeah, that was a really good line
That one
too.
was good.
little things like that. Like I don't know. I loved how he was another one turned up to 11,
Mhm.
and anytime he was on on screen with Coach Gennaro, awesome. I laughed most as far as ratio. It was
Yeah.
when Robert Loggia was
That's probably.
Well, to date myself, I have to say the best character that was Scott Bakula's denim jacket.
Oh.
The jacket played. That was such a badass look for 1991.
Yeah.
The Canadian tuxedo.
Yes, you could get a cowboy hat, the Marlboro cigarette, the denim jacket, and the boots, and just go be that guy. If you walked around, people would know exactly who it is. But that aside, I have to agree with Tepper. It was Larry Miller. He
was
just funny.
so good.
He's funny. Even when he wore a suit, he had the 3 or 4 pins in the outer jacket pocket. Who wears pins in their outer jacket pocket? He always did that. His lines were hilarious. He was right off of Pretty Woman. He was the crappy dress store manager, and to your point, he just rode that character
So
to
good.
the extreme.
And I
Yeah.
think that's a lot of, for the intended audience of this movie, like that's who a lot of people feel is in academia.
Right,
Like
right, right.
that person,
Yes.
or it's like, oh, they just want to take football away, or that's the person they always get where it's like, why are we spending money on football and not,
Like the
Yeah,
library.
Yeah,
Even
he's like, that's not what
scholarships.
we're here for.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
says to
Those
somebody
people,
one time,
yeah.
like, "This is made for us, not for those
For
people."
them, yeah, for those
And I feel like
people.
for the intended audience, that's who they
Right.
think are is always trying to take away football. So
Can we give a tiny shout out though to
Yeah.
Fred Thompson? He's only like 6 scenes. He's not
Boy.
great, but his voice
Yeah.
is so perfect. I mean, he's not great in anything, but he's just got the perfect voice.
Yeah.
He actually ran for president, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean,
remember
really
that. I did
ran
not
for
know that.
president,
Like
United States president.
04 or something like that. Yeah, it was in the
So he wasn't
2000s.
good. I'm not saying favorite, but the fact he's in it and he just plays the same guy. It was cashing checks.
Yeah.
I think it's
yeah,
awesome.
and by the way, that was a dude who definitely sat in his trailer and he goes, "You can knock on my door whenever you need
Yes.
it, but you got me for
Yeah.
3 days.
Right.
I'm shooting my scenes
Yeah.
and I'm out."
Right.
He knew he was
Yeah,
too good.
There
for
was
this
definitely
movie.
Jack Daniels in his contract.
Oh,
in the
yeah.
trailer. Like, I need to have this Jack
Oh,
at this
yeah.
time. And I'll
Absolutely.
see you between 2 and 4. And that's
Yes, absolutely.
So mine, I'm gonna agree with Ish. I thought Wally was just like he was the perfect Robin to a Batman. Like he was phenomenal. He was not scared to like say his opinion. Like he had great line. Everything about him was great. The other person, I love the center. What was his name?
Manu.
Manu.
I forgot the actor's name. Yeah.
Loved him.
Yeah.
Everything about him was great from the moment that he walked in the room and he was like, "Well, you want something more comfortable to wear?" And then I loved when the soccer player came on and the kicker and he was like, "Can I take you out?" Like the whole everything was great about him.
There was like a semi-racist Rob Schneider line where he's like getting some poi or
yeah.
something
Yeah.
like that, and I'm like, "Oh,
Oh, Rob Schneider."
yeah, there was that. Yeah.
No, I did. He was well, like that's where I kind of got the Replacements vibe too, because
Yeah.
they had the
Yeah.
Asian American. I forgot he's a guard or something,
Yeah.
but he's also
right.
like the lovable big guy who's
Yeah.
on the line, and he's kind of like friendly, but he's really aggressive at times. And so it's like you see those little parallels a lot. I'm curious when we do Replacements, how many parallels I see, because I haven't seen that movie in a
By
while.
the way, to Tepper's Major League, was he like Serrano? He was the
That's
foreigner?
yeah. Well,
Is there,
just the-
is
I
they're
would-
trying to make this movie, and Was that
yeah,
translation?
I mean,
Does
I
that
don't know.
translate?
The biggest thing about Major League that I like the comparison is that everybody on this team is super good at one thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You've got the guy who's super fast,
Right.
okay, but he can't
Can't
catch. You've got the Australian rugger
Right,
who's
right.
like
Recovers the fumble
is
in the scrum, by the
yeah,
way.
exactly. He recovers the football.
Which, by the way, there was a continuity error, if you guys didn't notice with that. He's not the one that goes in to get the fumble.
Oh, is he not?
He's the one that comes out with it, but there's a continuity error where I'm just like, did
He's
they
not
just,
in the play?
or he's not the one that clearly recovers the fumble.
Oh,
in the
interesting.
Movie. And then like at the end he comes up with it, obviously. But then
Interesting.
I remember it was like a number like 71 or something like that. And then when I saw him come out, I was like, wait, he's not the one that had that. Like it was a little
That's it. I didn't
something
notice
a little
that.
small where I was like, oh okay. And then I see him come out, I was like, oh, that's odd, but
Yeah, but like you think about Serrano. Serrano can hit the ball really, really far, but if you throw a breaking ball,
Yeah,
he's
he's-
worthless,
right.
right?
Yeah.
Golly, Charlie Sheen's character, Wild Thing.
Wild Thing.
Wild Thing. If he can throw super fast, but he doesn't know where it's going, right?
Yeah.
It's like that was the biggest thing is that everyone is super good at one thing, like extremely good at
Right,
one
right.
thing. And I'm like, how are you guys like not like it's like. If you're that fast, they'll teach you how to catch.
For sure.
He's
Right.
playing somewhere.
And how about the football that gets embedded in his face
Yeah.
mask?
from
Yeah.
That is not physically possible.
One other underrated character, the guy, the samurai guy. I laughed
Oh,
so
God.
hard.
Right,
like
right.
the one time when
Or the ref
when
that
Wally
knows all
goes,
of his
he
moves.
goes, "All right, you're up," and like he like looks
Yeah.
and Wally just goes, and then he just goes out there
He
and
just
starts
goes
kicking
destroying
people.
But
Like
to-
so cheesy,
So
so good.
I know we're going to talk about the football portion, but can you imagine? He punches, kicks, flying flips. It does not get kicked out of the game.
No,
he gets a penalty.
right.
He does
He
get
does
a
get a penalty, but he
But-
doesn't get
and
He's
the
not
ref, knows,
ejected.
the ref knows like every single
Yeah,
move that he
right,
did.
right.
He's
That
like,
was
yeah.
funny and silly, but no
Yeah.
removal of the game.
You are getting
Yeah. Now, if you
Run.
hit somebody, maybe with the side of your helmet, it's targeting your
Right,
out.
right,
or
you're
whatever.
out,
You're
and
done.
you're probably
Yeah.
out. And if it's the second half, you're
Yeah.
missing the first half of next
Right.
season.
Yep.
Right.
Unbelievable.
All right, switching to the opposite side of the spectrum. Here we've got character LVP, your least valuable character.
Anybody?
I mean, it's Rob Schneider for me. Like he has the one scene that I like with Ashley mentioned, and then that's it. Like that's everything else. I'm just like, shut up. Like please go away. And they have to cut to him, and he's like, and then like after a certain point, he's not even like he's clearly just filming his own because you can tell he's like obviously on his own set, like doing his own thing. He's not watching the game, and so he's just saying things, and I'm just like, stop. Like go away, Rob Schneider. I don't care.
Yeah, Rob Schneider's up there.
That's the
It
That
has
play
to
guy,
be
right?
It has to be
like
him.
you're arguing for second because he's clearly the winner.
Yeah.
Right, yeah,
So then,
like-
Yeah, who's the second?
Who make an argument for
Yeah,
second?
I would say Sinbad. Sinbad, which
He's
okay,
I like Sinbad. He's not good in this movie.
he adds nothing to the movie.
Yeah.
They don't even try. If he is funny, we can
Yeah.
argue that later. But
Yeah.
they don't even try.
No, he
he's
tells
just
no
a, he's
jokes.
just a smart professor who has a year of eligibility while going for his PhD.
Like that's the funny part. Is
Yeah.
that he has a year. It's like isn't
Right.
it funny that this professor has a year
Right.
of eligibility?
He's
And
like wasted in
yeah.
this movie.
Right.
'Cause
Right.
I think it can be funny.
Yeah.
But he just was not. I've got two that are fighting for second place. Obviously, behind Rob Schneider
Yeah.
stinks.
Mhm.
I thought Scott Bakula was not very good in this movie. It's very clear that like he's trying, and I want to give him some credit for trying, Scott Bakula, wherever you are. But it's just like he's trying to be like super serious actor guy in this goofy comedy,
Mhm.
and I'm like, what are you doing?
It's
But
supposed to be the straight guy.
but
Right.
by far the worst actor in this movie, worse than Evander Holyfield, whoever was playing the villain on the Texas Colts.
yeah,
Oh.
the flat
The
top.
number
Yeah,
55
flat
flat,
top.
top.
Yeah.
Oh
He's
my
terrible.
God!
He's-
Every
they
one of his lines was so bad.
They held a casting call and it was like that guy's the jawline.
Right,
sure,
right,
whatever.
right.
He's big.
Yeah,
But he doesn't even look like a linebacker to
No.
me. He looks
No.
like a lineman.
Right,
He looks
right.
like
Yeah.
an offensive lineman.
Yeah.
Every one of our in high school, all of our offensive linemen had that haircut and that face.
Yes.
That's exact. I mean, you got that from Central Casting for linemen.
Yeah.
Right.
He-
Linebackers.
They put a
Stunk.
helmet on him. He
Yeah.
looked mean. And it was
Yeah.
like, okay, you're good enough.
Yeah.
He was such a bad actor,
Yeah.
like
He's
a
really bad.
noticeably bad
Right,
actor
right.
in a movie with a
Right.
fair number of bad actors
And
in
maybe
it.
that's something to be proud of. He out bad acted Rob Schneider.
He really
you know?
did. He
So-
really did. I will say, Kathy Ireland only had like 9 lines, but I thought
She was
she was
fine. She
okay.
pulled 'em off.
She was.
I wasn't listening.
I didn't notice her. At,
Yeah.
what was
Did she
was saying.
speak? I wasn't sure.
All right. Who is your least valuable LVP?
I agree with the one that you just said. Yeah, it was so bad.
Flat
Like
top.
everything
God.
about, like I said, the beer scene too. It's like it was just like
Now it's on you.
yeah, it was like if you're gonna play dumb, you can at least do a better job of playing dumb than that.
Yeah.
Like that was cringe.
But like that is,
it
I-
was
like
ugh.
that's the thing, is he wasn't like, we never got the opinion that he was dumb. Like
Right.
if it was just like, oh, here's this guy you could easily outsmart, then it's like, okay,
No,
well
he's
just
Right.
clearly like he was supposed to be like a calculating
Yes.
guy who's
Right.
just also a musclehead.
Yeah.
If you are Arnold Schwarzenegger, at least you have the excuse that English is your second language,
language.
Right.
right?
Right.
I don't
just
know.
mumbled it.
Maybe he's Austrian too, right?
maybe.
But he, oh my gosh, he
I have
was
a theory.
terrible.
Okay, they spent up money. Bacula was a name back then.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Sinbad was on a different world. He was, I think, a name back then.
Yeah, that
All
was-
these other people, I think, and they had all the football players.
Mhm.
I mean, the NFL and whatever.
Yeah.
Did they just run out of money?
Right.
And it's like they had to give like
They
the
couldn't.
low.
They
There
couldn't
was like,
get. I'm
oh,
trying
yeah.
to think at this time.
Who's a big,
We need a
bulky-
meathead.
Zapka or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think they just ran out of money and just
Yeah.
said, "Hey, you're holding the lights for the camera. Why don't you? You're
So,
big.
so
why
this
don't
is
you
going to
do
stun you. That guy's name is Tom Whiteknight.
it?" Okay, fake
Okay.
news, but it's okay.
That's definitely a fake news.
He has he was in a couple of episodes of TV series like Veronica's Closet,
Okay.
and then he was an
Never heard of it.
agent in Minority Report,
Sure,
and he was
okay.
an agent in Men in Black 2.
Okay,
and-
typecast
and
and,
there-
linebacker.
Right. Yeah.
And there you have it.
Typecast.
6 and 8, you know
So-
those things have been going around on Twitter. Like no one has this range. His
Yeah. So
his range would
well,
all be
and,
the same.
and Tom Whiteknight, this is according to IMDb. Tom Whiteknight played football at UCLA.
Oh,
so there
okay.
you go. There's,
So you
Yeah.
actually
Football
played
player.
football.
there's your that's
Right.
your hook. But
Right.
boy, he can't act.
No, it was terrible.
He was terrible.
All right, up next, we've talked quite a bit about this already, but the realness of the football.
All right.
Oh, man.
This is your generation,
Shit.
Adam.
Yeah.
So bad. I mean, we've covered the PA. That's terrible. We've covered. I mean, is there a way to rate it below 0? Because it's so bad. Just the thought. Think of this for a second. I don't know. They kept calling the Texas Colts, which is a whole other discussion,
Right.
the number 1 team in Texas.
Yeah.
And
What
maybe-
conference is this?
Yeah, I don't know. Is it the Texas Conference?
I'm assuming it's supposed to be like a version of the
South-
Southwest.
yeah.
A version of because
Well,
there's
so-
Southwest Texas states in it. Obviously,
Yeah.
fictional Texas state, Texas. They play Kansas, and there's I don't know. I
And
don't
there's
know
like
if those are-
they have like a montage
Right.
where there's like 3 or 4.
But yeah,
games
so
this
I'm
way.
assuming it's supposed to be a version of the Southwest.
Yeah, so number 1 team in Texas, but then think about from a realistic of football. So let's call them a top 10 team. Maybe they're number 1 in the country.
Right,
whatever.
sure.
They're playing a team of walk-ons that only have 17 players
Right.
that they're playing two-way. Yet somehow it's not 95 to nothing
Right,
in
I
the
know.
first
it's
half.
Like, it's supposed to be like what 21-0.
Yeah,
It's
right.
like-
I mean,
This team sucks.
17. Oh, by the way, who played? The other thing that's dumb about this is minor, but 9 other games. There were 11 games back in 1991. It
right.
went to 12, but there were 11.
Uh-huh.
So they didn't play a full schedule, even though that was the full schedule. But they played 9 games. All those guys will be out with injuries.
Right. They're
And
playing Iron Man.
Yeah, they're playing Iron Man. But somehow they're playing the Texas Colts have come together with this great spirit.
Here's
Right.
another
Terrible.
thing
Terrible.
about that. So they play Southwest Texas in the
Yeah.
opener, right? And Southwest Texas is apparently good. Like I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
Which I like that just short circuited my brain when it
Right.
was Texas State playing Southwest Texas. Ah! Southwest Texas, according to Rob Schneider, suits out 119
On the road.
players.
On the road. Which you can't do.
119.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you had
Yeah.
a travel squad.
Yeah. That, yeah.
What?
Yeah, that's,
Oh, that's
quite
awesome.
quite ridiculous.
Like,
that's awesome.
like there are 6A programs
Yeah.
that do
Right,
not have
right.
119 players at all their levels.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, a lot of them.
Right.
That was and,
The-
and you can tell that the football was bad because they did it super close
Right,
up.
it
So
was
they
very
didn't
tight
Right.
shots.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is very much, which like I appreciate it. I don't want to see zoomed out footage of people
Yeah.
running bad
Right.
plays and all this stuff. So of course they kept it close. The one thing I had a big issue with that
The one thing.
the
I love
one
this.
thing,
Yeah.
right? The one thing that stood out to me because they kept harping on it whenever they're like messing up plays and like running into each other in the backfield. Like this movie implies that college football players are the only people that know how to play football at college.
Yes.
Like the
Right.
only people.
Yes.
Like it's like trust us. I can go to North Texas and there's gonna be the starting guard of a 4A semifinalist team just taking classes.
Right,
Yeah.
Like
right.
you can pluck him and just play football. Like, or there's
But these
gonna be-
guys literally run into each
They're
other
literally
like
running
all
in-
game. They
right.
keep running into each other.
And so it's like, no, there's a running back who played for an area round finalist
Right,
somewhere on this campus.
But we're
He's
gonna go
just
get
small
a
or
we're
he
gonna go
didn't
get a
wanna play
teacher
football or whatever.
instead.
Right.
Yeah, they
yeah,
get a
somebody-
professor. We'll get
So
a
we're gonna get a professor.
Right.
It's like
and a
that already-
girl. No offense.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
we'll
no,
get a girl
exactly,
kicker.
No
yeah.
kickers at all.
Yeah.
But
Perfect-
no, that's
yeah.
that's the one thing that stood out to me the whole movie was like, oh, no one knows how to play football at all except the college football players.
And Scott
apparently.
Bakula is the quarterback,
Right.
right? Something Blake.
Jeff Blake.
Uh,
No,
s-
it's
no,
Blake.
Jeff
It's
Blake.
definitely Blake.
Something Blake.
Mr. Blake.
They issue
Scott
Paul
Blake.
Blake.
They
Scott-
call him
Paul
Mr.
Blake.
Paul Blake. Paul Blake. Okay.
That-
Paul
Jeff
Blake.
Blake's an actual quarterback.
Third,
Right.
I am sorry, but to your point,
Yeah.
if you're at North Texas, because this is a stand-in for North Texas,
Yeah.
right? There is
I will go get a frat flag football player right now
Thank you.
from the
Yeah.
from the winning frat team that won the league. Like he can
Yeah.
throw the ball perfectly fine.
who can move a little bit,
Right.
right? It's like I think they're very clearly trying to like make it. It's like, oh no, Scott Bakula is like really athletic and
Right.
stuff
Yeah.
like that. Even though he's 34, it's like, brother, absolutely
And
not.
he's so good that they don't make him play two-way. Like everyone, you only have
Right.
17 guys.
Right.
They have
I
two
think
guys. They have
that's
two guys
And
who
one
don't
of them is a
play both
backup
ways.
quarterback who never plays.
Yeah. Right.
One of them is Kathy Iron, who only kicks, and then they have the little the guy who catches the touchdown at the end,
Yeah.
who didn't play the whole time either.
Yeah.
Right.
So really only have about 13 or 14.
And the only
guys,
other guy that
which is
doesn't play
crazy.
both ways is Samurai guy.
Right,
because
right,
they-
right.
when he
And,
comes
they
on,
brought
they-
him in almost as a specialist.
Yeah.
It made no sense. Hey, we need a tackle now. Why don't you go in? We'll save you for now.
Right.
Yeah, there's just so much, and even just like you go to the first game they play. It's like first of all, they are like on the very first defensive snap
Yeah.
for their defense.
Right.
Like they have
Oh,
no,
they just all run
they
to
all
one
run to
receiver.
I thought
one
that was
receiver.
funny. It's terrible, but I thought it was
And
funny.
it's
Right.
like-
It's terrible for football. But I
it's like
Right.
how are you not banging a timeout?
right,
there?
right, right,
Okay,
right, right.
it's like
Well, it's pretty clear. Robert Loja does not know how to coach.
no.
Yeah.
And by the
Despite
way,
being a
that's
defensive
another
coordinator,
thing.
he has no idea what's going on.
Are they co-coaches? Are they co-head
He
coaches?
basically turns the entire defense over to him, supposedly.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
basically he at the beginning. They're like,
Yeah.
you take the defense,
Yeah.
I'll take the offense. That's why they're fighting.
And then
over
they have the
players.
blonde guy who says nothing with the
Yes.
headset.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
He just stands there with his mullet.
Well, that's why they choose to play Iron Man because they can't decide who they want on each other's. It's like,
Right.
no,
Well,
don't
no,
take.
what's his name also kicked half the players off.
Well, that's
this
true.
scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they were down to 17. I don't know how many they cut.
And so then, but then they also have, like the very like in the third down of their first possession, Blake calls an audible. He's
Right.
like they want to run the ball, and
Oh,
he's
yeah, he
like,
throws a-
you know what? I
run
think
a
we got it
fade,
covered.
right.
And it's like they throw a fade to Featherstone. Of course, he doesn't catch it, right? Because that's
His
who he
bit.
is.
That's his
That's
bit.
the arc. And then he gets benched for it.
Right.
Yeah.
For an audible.
Right,
Which
right,
the-
right.
the
With
other-
only 17 players, mind
With
you.
only-
Right, right. Yeah.
What are you
We're-
doing?
We're going to elect to take one of these pawns off the chessboard.
And it's like,
down to 16 for the rest of the game.
I get that, like, it's the straight arrow coach. He's
Yeah.
like, I'm not going to put up with any guff. But it's like, you also have to understand, like, the situation.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe the 34-year-old quarterback who's, like, I don't know, basically could be, like, your younger brother.
Right.
Maybe he knows something about football, too.
Kind of
He-
goes. Love the fact he's smoking half the time too. By
Yeah.
the way,
Yeah.
it was a little silly.
One of the
Yeah.
underrated scenes too that didn't get brought up was when they in one of the games, they're Blake like they get in a huddle and he calls the same play and they're all going, no,
We just
no,
ran
that's what we
that."
just and
Yeah.
he goes, well, they haven't actually seen the play run yet. And, like that was
Yeah.
a great play. The realness of this like movie that like differs so much for me, other than like Friday Night Lights, was the fact that every single play was in like slow motion, and
Yeah.
you can tell like they're
Right.
waiting for like
Right.
there's not like in Friday Night Lights I liked it because they would go through a couple of like hard hits all together, so it makes it feel like it's real football, and then they slow down like the super important parts. But
Yeah.
when it's a movie like this, it's obviously meant to be a little bit cheesier. I get why they did it, but just comparing those two, if you speed up the football a little bit, it makes it feel like it's real, and
football.
then you can
Right.
make it dramatic. You know.
Okay, and then let's talk about the Kansas game here for a second.
in the monsoon.
In the monsoon.
Right.
First of all, it's lightning,
Right.
and we're just
Think
gonna
about that.
lay on
Yeah.
through. Somebody's literally been struck by lightning in this game.
In the homecoming parade.
The homecoming
Yeah.
like princess
Says
was,
the-
was
Yeah.
struck by
Right,
lightning,
right,
but it's like
right.
now we're
Yeah.
good. We can keep it rolling. It's 3-0. Boy, you hate to see Kansas
I was about to
die.
say.
You hate to see it. But with 20 seconds left,
Mhm.
they run a quarterback draw.
Yeah.
A quarterback draw with I guess no timeouts
right.
or something like that. They run a quarterback draw. He slips. He falls. They fall in the fumble, stuff like that. And then, like, Kathy Ireland very clearly gets roughed
Right.
on the kick.
Oh,
Right.
yeah, like,
ref doesn't
way
see it.
after.
Jacked up
Yeah.
Right.
after the ball is gone. Absolutely
Nothing.
lit up. Nothing.
Nothing.
Should be 15 yards or half the
Yeah.
distance
Right.
and a first down.
Right.
Trying to win the game.
And I get that, like, we have to establish that there are ties, because if you don't do the tie,
Pre-overtime.
I guess
That was
that's-
actually done
I guess that's
pre-overtime.
pre-overtime. But, like,
When was the movie made again? When did we say 90?
91.
91.
91, so it's
But
really
it was
39.
supposed to be based in the 81 football season.
Oh, is that right?
Yes,
Oh, I
it is.
didn't know.
I
It
guess
is
I caught
based
that.
back. Yeah, no, it has. They had at one point it said they had won like the state champion or the national championship the year before in 80.
Oh, interesting.
And then
Okay.
they got caught for all that stuff, so all the players left. I think that's the
It's a
premise
period
of
piece.
it.
And then, and then,
No,
of course, there is the worst football moment in a football movie I've ever seen, which is huddling up in the field goal. That's the.
Well, can you not give a little credit or a little bit of worse shout out, whatever that is? So the
What's the
scene,
opposite of a shout?
A whisper. He throws the play, or he throws a touchdown or 2-point conversion to win.
Yeah.
Flat Top is running to Ashley's point. It's so cheesy because it's slow motion. Manu lights him up, but if
Oh,
you watch the
with
end of it,
blood out
his
those-
face mask
oh my-
blows off, and his blood is coming everywhere. Like that never
notice
happens.
No,
His
I
face
guess
mask-
I didn't see
his
that.
face
No,
mask comes off clean.
Yeah.
Yes,
And then his
all the
mouth
way off.
explodes in blood.
Yeah.
As he lays on the ground.
And you can see
It's
the face
so
mask
subtle.
laying there.
He dies.
I fully,
yeah, it's like, how about a sequel that Flat Top dies or something?
R.I.P.
Or
Flat Top.
Yeah,
I
right.
fully expected you to catch that after you made the comment that in every single football movie, like there's just blood everywhere.
yeah.
Because there's one point too when they're walking back to the bench, they've got their
Blood
pants
everywhere on the
literally
pants,
look
yeah.
red.
Very
like
true, very
there
true.
it was another high blood football movie.
Apparently, Flat Top's a bleeder.
yeah,
So,
Right, yeah.
I
we
guess
didn't
so.
know that. But I mean,
yeah.
blood comes out of his mouth like a vampire movie.
Yeah,
It's like-
it
it
was-
blew up.
It was
it's
so
terrible.
absurd.
Terrible. Terrible.
Yeah.
Also,
And-
what offense were they running?
Oh,
I've
it was. It was.
I was
It
trying
was.
to,
They
like-
weren't.
I saw
like
like
it
a
was-
split back pro set at one point.
like an
and I was
unbalanced eye,
okay,
basically, it
and I
looked
was like,
like.
all right. And I was like, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. The other thing, and again, it goes back to kicking game, because that's what this sport's about. They put out Kathy Ireland to kick the extra point to tie the game when you're 0-8-1. Why is Texas? Why would you even have the field goal block out there?
Right.
Like, you play your base defense
Right,
on that,
yeah.
because it's like, all right, cool. If they
Right.
kick it, like, we're probably not going to block it. It's fine, whatever. But if they kick it, we tie. Whatever. We're going to play our base defense to make sure we don't lose as the number one team in the state.
Yes.
That was like the fact that the fake worked at all,
Right,
had
right.
any sort of bite to it.
Yeah, and what I didn't notice was Bacula the holder
Yeah.
another scenes.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
because it would have been even worse if he comes in as the holder.
Right,
And
right.
then, oh, well, I didn't know they
didn't
were going to
see
try
that
something.
there.
Yeah.
It does break my heart to say this about Kathy Ireland. Though. It breaks my heart. I don't blame her for this at all. She did the best she could, but her
run
up
Oh, it's really
to
bad.
kick was
Yeah.
really awkward.
Yes, it was.
It's hard to say.
She always like toe poked.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
Or, like,
was
there was,
hard
or
to.
there were scenes where you clearly see the ball like just like go straight
Yeah.
and like. But
Well,
obviously
and then
the
they
edit
told her
is
too. It's like you gotta let out a little tennis grunt type of thing to
Right.
make it seem legit.
Right.
And it was like,
Now
It's
in-
like, it's 40 yards.
yeah, it was like
Yeah.
so petite, and it's
Yeah.
like, no,
Now, in
you
fairness,
did
in
not
ni-
just bomb that 50
Right.
yards down the field.
fairness, in 1991, I did not notice.
I just-
I just watched the everything but
Heck, in
that.
2020, you didn't know.
right.
And now we move on to hashtag wife thoughts. Did
Oh, yeah.
anybody's significant other watch?
Yeah, I forced my wife to watch.
Okay, what did the Queen of Dave Campbell say?
Well, I must show her this tape because she did not believe me that we were watching the
Okay.
movie for work. Because I'm world famous for watching 20 minutes of any bad movie at any time.
Yeah.
That there's I'll stop in and watch, whatever. Waterboy. I'll watch, whatever.
Yeah.
So she doesn't believe me the entire time, and then she is laying on the couch and kind of looking at her phone, and then she'd look over and laugh, and then she would see her laugh, and she would try to deny it. So, terrible movie. She hated it worse. She probably couldn't recognize everything she did. She's a former marching band member, so she knows the
Okay.
band a couple times.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah, they did have the band
Yep.
there.
And she has much better taste in movies than I do. So that's a low bar also.
That goes without saying.
So she hated it. She was laughing at me for watching it, but it falls into all the pattern of me watching 10 minutes of a bad movie on a Saturday.
So this is just another
This is
bad
another day in the
movie
Hockfelder house. Yeah,
exactly.
This is a Thursday in the Hockfelder house,
Okay.
or Tuesday or whatever.
Tep Wife did not watch this. She had better things to do than this.
Yep.
Did Quinn watch it?
No, but I did have my other roommate and I watched
Okay.
it. He was the one. He graduated from North Texas in
Roommate wife thoughts.
14 Yeah, roommate
Yeah.
wife thoughts. One, he said, which I kind of told y'all this earlier, but his parents also went to UNT. They both graduated from there, and they were actually used as like background people in the last
Oh, very
scene.
cool.
So they got to. He said the movie cast paid everyone who came out with a hot dog and a soda. And then they said they actually sat around a bunch of different cardboard cutouts, so that's what a bunch of the fans were, and then they would scatter them around so they could wave so it looked like multiple people were doing it. So that was one. Because he watched Friday Night Lights with us too, and he said that when the principal went to come down and they sent him back up, he was like, well, the security in this movie was a lot better than Friday Night Lights when homie's dad just walked
Right,
onto the field of the
right.
state
Drunk
championship.
Tim
Drunk-
McGraw
drunk
just
mind. Drunk
gambling onto the field.
Right. No restraining order from his son, mind you.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
true,
finally,
very true.
on the very obviously like the opening scene when they're, or not, I guess did the him throwing the ball in the pasture, was that before or after the ESPN thing?
That was the first scene. That was the opening credits.
Opening credits. Okay, so we're like sitting there and I'm going, okay, God, this is going on forever. And he goes, dude, you know this is exactly where they came up with the Brett Favre Wrangler commercials, because that was that too. Like you were
Nice,
talking about the
yeah,
mom
yeah.
jeans earlier, like
Yeah.
that was to a T a Brett Favre Wrangler commercial.
Yeah.
Very
So
mom
there's hashtag roomy wife thought.
Yeah. Okay. I like that.
So Ted Wife's never seen this movie.
She's never seen this movie, and I'm going to be honest.
Date night Saturday.
Real nice.
She won that.
You come over and watch Hank.
Hey, I'll do it.
All
I'll
right,
do
that's
it.
fine. And then we'll go run off and watch Necessary Roughness for the second time in 6 days.
Words have never been spoken
Whoa,
before. This is
boy.
never been spoken.
All right.
All right, and for our last and final category, we are going to do. You got 5 stars.
We'll get the ladies first here.
Oh man, I don't know. This one's difficult. I'm telling you, I think. Okay, here's the thing. If the way I went into it, thinking it was going to be like a serious movie, to find out that it was not that,
All right.
I would give it like a 2. If I would have gone into it prepared for like stupid humor, I would give it probably like a 2.75 or 3. Like the humor in it was good if you go into it knowing it was going to be dumb. But if you don't know that, then it's like, what am I watching?
So, and I should tell you, we are judging this as a football movie, on the football
Oh,
movie
gotcha.
curve.
Gotcha,
So
gotcha.
it's like, look, we know that this is not Citizen Kane.
Right,
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Because if it was
Speak for
compared,
yourself.
if it was compared to Citizen Kane, it would be a 0-star
Right,
movie.
right,
Yeah.
right.
So, on the grand scheme of football movies, where do
Okay.
you put this?
That's a low bar, by the
Yeah.
way.
Well,
So-
now to be clear, I gave Friday Night Lights, I think 4.5 stars.
think
yeah,
gave it 4.5,
I gave
5.
it 4.5.
Yeah, it was.
I think you did 4.
I think I did 4.
You did
and
4
I could be.
ish, and I
I'm
gave
closer
it
to 4.5 than 3.
21-year-old Adam probably gave it 3.5 because got what I wanted out of it. It was
Right.
funny, whatever. It's a 2. It's a 2.5. For me, that means I'll watch 10 minutes of it on a Saturday while my wife groans at watching the same movie for
Right.
the 333rd time.
Okay. So you're saying 2.5, so a below average.
Yeah, below average.
Yeah.
Slightly
Even
below
for a
average.
football movie for sure.
Yeah, I'd say now in 2020, I'd go 2.5. I think 2.5 is fair. I think in 91, I'd probably put it 3.5.
Yeah.
Because at the time, what are you working with? But in 2020, I'll say 2.5.
Y'all are crazy. Y'all are crazy. This is the worst football movie I've ever seen.
Wow. Wait,
You
have you
gotta
seen North Dallas
respect
40?
the
I have not seen
You
humor.
need to
North
watch
Dallas
that.
40.
You need to watch it.
Not seen
By the way,
North
it's not
Dallas
a
40.
bad movie, but it's a terrible football
I think this is the worst football movie I've ever seen.
can't agree
and,
with that.
and I've seen.
Which surprised me because you like dumb humor stuff. I mean that in a very nice way.
I'm gonna give this a 1.5.
Okay.
I think this is at least tied with another movie that I won't say on the air because I know you scoundrels will pick it as soon as we put it, let it, get put up for a vote. This was an objectively miserable experience.
even
for me.
as just a football movie. So I had 1.5 as a movie,
Yeah.
but then when you reframed it,
Man,
because there's
Yeah.
not
I
that
mean,
many football
maybe
movies,
it's
and
a
not many good
2.
ones. Yeah.
Maybe
I
it's a
think
2, but it's
2 or
closer to.
2.5
I think
is
it's
fair.
closer to a 1.5 than a 2. I think this. I think I'm gonna stick with a 1.5. If you want to bump it up to a 2 because it's a football movie, that's fine. This was like watching Friday Night Lights, and again, we set the bar way
yeah,
too high.
we really messed ourselves up on that one.
I enjoyed. That was an enjoyable way to spend 2 hours.
Mhm.
This was a miserable use of my
It's a
time.
chore.
This was a chore.
Right.
This was not enjoyable in the least.
Mhm.
I'm gonna give it a 1.5. I'm gonna stick
Fair.
with it. This movie was.
But now you
very,
can
very
say you
bad.
did it. So
I saw
you don't
it-
ever have to do
I
it
saw
You
it.
again.
never do it again.
And look,
But
well,
you did
here's
it.
the thing. I'll say 1.5. I could, if it's the worst football movie I've ever seen, I can rate it lower.
Mhm.
It was saved by Robert Loggia was great.
Yeah.
It was saved by
Miller.
Larry Miller, who was great. There were a couple funny lines that I laughed at.
Right.
But I'm saying there is room below that.
Right, it could be worse.
So-
So a question would be, if you are I know with Hank, you're not going to have a lot of free time.
Correct.
Or maybe you do, just holding him or whatever. It's on the guide. It's halfway through the movie. You don't just click to see what scene. it is. I would
will-
click and see what the scene.
No.
I would do that.
Oh,
I'd
okay.
see if
No,
Robert,
you
I'd see if
would.
Robert
Yeah,
Loggia
well, you
told me.
check to see if it's the Robert Loggia or Larry Miller or something.
Right.
And then
then
if
I
you
would-
saw Rob Schneider,
immediately
you
after,
turn your
I'm like,
TV off and go for a run.
Right.
There
right.
is-
Yes. If Rob Schneider's on my TV, I'm like, oh, what am I doing?
There's too high a Schneider risk. Okay, that's too
There's
high
too
of a
high.
Schneider risk.
That's fair.
It's too high that you're going to
Once
click
it's a
on
minute-
and he's
once
going to
it's a
have.
minute 40,
He's
you're
going to like
like, oh.
Fumbleina.
But you go, it's terrible. But you go, you're thinking Larry Miller or Robert Loggia, and then Kathy Ireland. It's like it's a bonus. You have the opportunity. It's like the
That's still
whammy
a
or
quarter
whatever. You
chance
could
of
work.
Schneider.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Before we wrap, Ashley, what did you think of Kathy
Yeah,
Ireland?
that's a fair question.
Oh, she's great. I loved her. I loved her character, obviously, where she goes. I love my favorite scene with her was when she kicked it the first time, and Wally's just watching it, and then she goes, "Hey, coach, was that far enough?" But no, I can see exactly why 21-year-old Adam would have
Yes,
been
for
all
sure.
for the
Because
movie.
that's the thing. Because on
For
one,
her acting, I want to see if she could make it as an actress.
You would have, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
sure it was very similar to the when the center sees her for the first time, and they're like, "Hey, snap the ball, snap the ball."
there was. I have not
I
seen.
think I had that mustache
It's-
at times, too. So
I have
it's
not
pretty
seen a
unfortunate.
trailer for this movie. I have
Yeah.
not seen a trailer for this movie. There is a 1,000% chance that Kathy Ireland is in the trailer a larger percentage
Everybody
of the
said Kathy
time.
Ireland
than she's in the
stars
movie.
in-
Kathy
Yeah.
Ireland
Top bills.
is in
Yeah.
every. It's nothing but shower scenes
No,
of Kathy Ireland.
Oh yeah, no, but that coming out at that time with Kathy Ireland and dumb humor, that
Right.
that is, I would have
It worked for me at 21.
Yeah.
It absolutely worked.
By
for
the
me.
would have
way-
loved it.
By the way, and, I'll just say that I could do a dude butt.
What?
There was a lot of
There's
dudes.
a
Oh,
dude
yeah,
butt.
those
are- Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
need that dude butt in it.
No.
But no, I will not. I will not.
You will not stop for 5
I will
minutes.
not stop
on
for
the
5
watch.
minutes to
Okay.
see this.
Okay.
I'm sorry. This
That's
was,
then that's a fair rating for that.
it was a
Yeah.
miserable
Yeah.
experience.
It's-
I
Mr. Pessimist.
I did not enjoy it. I did not enjoy it at all. I'm sorry.
So good job, guys. You chose well because Tepper hates your favorite movie.
Yeah, I really, really do. But I guess, like, I'll also say this. I bet this is one of those movies that has a cult following.
Yeah, I bet
Oh,
so.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
bet
they're probably
they're-
all my age. They're all
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
were in high school,
Well, even
college when it came
yeah,
out.
and even Step, who was not 21 at that time, he said that it was one of his favorites growing up. So I think that you missed the age range.
I
by
also
a
think it's
little.
I don't think it's aged well.
No,
That's
it's
the thing.
definitely
No,
not
no,
aged well.
definitely
It's
not.
terrible.
It's like-
it's
it's-
hard. It was hard to watch after thinking I'd seen it a bunch of other times surfing around, but
Yeah.
just sit down and watch it start to finish, like, oh my god, this is
The
terrible.
plastic face masks and just
Yeah.
like they're
Yeah.
like they're wearing
Yeah.
kid helmets.
Right. And then Rob Schneider, as bad as he was, and I didn't like him in the movie, was kind of a thing back then. I mean, people did.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
why, but that character of the Fumbleia was based on that copy room
Yeah.
guy.
Right,
Tepper do it
So
again.
bad. I mean, it's like, let's insert this bit here.
Right.
But there were people, not me, but there were people that liked him back then. So
Mhm.
I think in 1991 there was higher ratings than now. But I think I don't disagree.
On what's it got on IMDb? Let's see. On IMDb, it is a 6.2 out of 10.
Very generous.
And on
That's very
Rotten
generous.
Tomatoes.
I want to say it's like 30 something. I feel like I saw that before.
Okay, necessary. You're listening to live coverage of
Right,
me
right.
looking up. Necessary roughness, 33%.
Yeah, it's about.
Yeah.
That's about
33%.
fair.
Although, so the tomato meter, so that's the critics. That's 33%. Audience score, 46%.
Right.
So
Right,
it
that
definitely
makes sense.
it definitely has like I think camp value
You know what I
to
looked
it.
up though, just for grins? I saw in the Wikipedia page that Roger Ebert gave it 3 out of 4. I'm not making that
Ah,
up. That was
no.
on Wikipedia. Now that might not be true because it was on
I mean-
Wikipedia, but that's what it said. Roger Ebert gave it 3 or 4 and gave it like a few comments that were positive.
Yeah.
That is
Kathy.
crazy.
Oh my God,
Isn't that right?
he gave it 3 out
Three
of
or
he gave it
four.
3 stars.
Yeah.
Kathy.
Roger.
Yeah, he's a Kathy Ireland fan.
Blah 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 blah. Oh
He's
my God,
usually-
this is from
usually ahead.
here. The movie assembled an offbeat group of supporting talent, including a lineman from Samoa, who makes a refrigerator look like an ice chest. Not so successful is Larry Miller as the
Oh.
anti-sports dean. Oh my God, his scenes play on a different note than the rest of the movie and seem shoehorned in. But Elizondo and Logia, two veterans
Yeah.
of many fine sporting work, seem to enjoy themselves playing the coaches.
He's
And
a
as
Logia
the
head.
Armadillos creep towards greatness, necessary roughness generates a genuine charm. Roger Ebert,
3 or 4. May he rest in peace.
Yes.
He is gone.
First of all,
may you rest in peace.
But
Bro, 3 out of 4. I bet he gave Blade Runner like 2. Oh my god. Okay.
Now I got one more request though. You
Yes.
gotta. You have not hit it with an armadillos this entire time. Just
Armadillo!
one. There we go. Now we
That's
can
fine.
be done.
That's fine. I'm guys, let's do better next month, please. Can we like watch a fun movie, a good movie instead of making
with
these
Kathy Ireland.
Yeah, any Kathy Ireland movie besides this one. Any Kathy Ireland football movie besides this
This
one.
one.
We will watch. Okay. That's going to do it. Adam.
Thank you.
Thanks for,
you guys all keep your
very
jobs and get
nice
raises
job.
now.
Yeah! All right, that's going to do it for us. Thank you for spending part of your day with
Shut
us.
it off now.
Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook. No takebacks. Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram. Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. For Ashley Pickle and Ishmael Johnson and Adam Hochfelder, I'm Greg Tepper.
I'll see you next time.
No,
Vince Young, come get your trophy. Sorry, blew that. I didn't know that's what you're setting me up for.
910 episodes.
And I'm never back again.
We'll see you Monday on Texas Football Today.